Out here, your resources are important. It's easy to blow through your ammo, your food, your chems, but the most important one is your family. That will always be the best defense in a world of chaos. The trouble is, not everyone has that, and their greatest resource could be spilling out fast. So today, I will be listing 5 broken families in Fallout 4. Let's get into it. Starting off with number 5, we have the Abernathy'S, a family of what used to be 4 until the youngest daughter had been taken away, killed by raiders. It's easy for them to prey on small farms like this, extort them however they like. We can get the full details soon, but I didn't want to wake them. Not that I think I could. A full day of working the soil really did have them planted in their beds. I noticed one empty one close to the mother. That had been for Mary, but they were never going to move it. The next morning, just before sunrise, I spoke to the father, Blake, asked him how he was holding up. He was obviously still bitter about the raiders, but he told me that Mary had stood up to them the last time they came here. She was sick of getting stomped on, so she said, "Hey, you're done taking our food and our money. You try coming into this house, and you're going to have to go through me." That's when they shot her and took what they wanted. But as her mother was telling me, there was a fire in her heart. She didn't like rules, she didn't like being contained here, but that's what made her strong and willing to break the conditioning and actually stand up for her family. Now, Blake will tell you there's a locket of hers that the raiders stole and took back with them to their base at Station Olivia. Having it back, really, it would mean a lot to them. So, you go there, and in the name of vengeance, you wipe the place out. I mean, every tunnel of that underground, unholy bunker, all the way down to their leader, Ak, until she's coughing up blood in the same way it sounds to say her damn name. You take the locket, you bring it back to the Abernathy'S, and they could not be happier. The sister, Lucy, goes out of her way to say, you don't even know how much that meant to us. And now those raiders are gone, they have some breathing room. This family, they're never going to recover from the death of their youngest, but they can take a lesson from her to stand up for themselves. Because when I'm gone, what's stopping bad people from walking through that front door like I had so easily done? Number 4, we have the Pembroke'S. This family of 3 isn't dealing with death, but they're certainly not in a good place. Before I even get to the parents, I ran into the son, Pete, who was running around Diamond City late at night by himself. Well, first thing he does is make fun of the clothes that I'm wearing. Little brat, you're to talk in your loose rags, you bare-chested, I'd said that as a kid and I'd have lost funnel cake for a month, slap upside the head. So where are his parents? Well, you go up to the Colonial Tap House and they're fighting. Turns out Darcy has been sleeping with the bar owner, Henry. Paul's going, "Come on, Darcy, come home." Darcy says, yeah, later tonight. Henry says, "Come on, Paul, can't you see she's trying to relax? Just get out of here." Paul gets pissed, so the fists come out, which he shouldn't have started because he gets his ass beat. He leaves and says he's going to look after the son, but we all know that's a lie. I doubt he'll be able to find him. Kid's probably hiding up in the stadium chairs making his own cherry bombs. Not a great family dynamic happening right now. And it doesn't help that when I tried speaking to Darcy about all of this, she had done a bit too much diplomacy, whispering in my ear that tonight we should get away from him, which is always tempting. Don't think I wasn't tempted, but I have some self-control. Henry! Anyway, I spoke to Paul outside, and he says he wants to threaten Henry to stop. My feeling was like, well, yeah, the dude deserves it, cheating with another man's wife. I'm in. So we go back up to the bar and we say, "Henry, it's time to put a cap back on that bottle." You understand what we're saying? Henry says, "I don't know what you're talking about." Paul goes, "That's it," and pulls out a gun. Now, I didn't know he was going to do that, so it changes everything. Now I'm like, okay, Paul, put the gun down. You really want to leave your son without a father? And Henry, put the gun down. You really want to die over someone like Darcy? She's got the manners of a hippo that's been in the sun for too long, and its back is peeling. Instead, I have a cunning plan. Boy, the things that I do for other people, I swear. Gentlemen, we take up Henry's offer. We go ambush Nelson Latimer's chem deal. We kill them. Hopefully they didn't have any families of their own, or else this would be really badly ironic. Henry beats town. Paul and I take all the chems, and then we make some good money. Everyone for that say aye. 2 eyes open, and the plan goes down perfectly. Paul gets a hefty sum of caps, and with Henry gone, then takes over the tap house. And thinking all of this would really help his marriage, I checked in on him, and he had no customers, not even his wife. And his son was probably still running around, alone. Yeah, sorry, Paul, we did our best, but it seems your situation is beyond fixing. Number 3, we have the Gibbons. This is a family of 6, and you can still find most of them in Far Harbor on Cranberry Island. At first glance, though, it doesn't seem like anyone's here. It's empty, just rabid wolves that like to hang around old generators. But before these paws came a hand much smaller, that of a girl named Eliza, who would detail life on this island through her journals that you can still find before the bombs fell. Nights where Grandpa would be screaming in his sleep about the government coming for all of them over in his shack down the hill. Times when her brother, Nathaniel, would tell her not to worry about him, instead focus on the money that he's going to leave behind once he dies. Days where her father would yell at her other brother, Stephen, for not doing his chores and looking after the pumps, which, very important, not only kept them with electricity, but also controlled the secret bunker they built in the unlikely case of fallout. Yeah, this family wasn't without their problems, but they were functioning. That is, until the pumps would fail. See, when the bombs dropped, they rushed into their bunker for protection. Trouble is, the machinery controlling the door would get messed up. This locked the door and made it so they couldn't escape, which is why hundreds of years later, you repair all of the generators, you open the bunker back up, and the family comes spilling out and tries attacking you. They turned into ghouls and all this time have been rotting away, trapped in a small space the size of a bathroom. You have to imagine the hell they went through when they first started turning. Grandpa, you feeling all right? His immune system is down, and he's the first to go, now biting into the father. The mother's crying, trying to pull her husband away from him. Stephen's shaking on the ground in pain, like his blood is being replaced with acid, until all of them transform. To make it worse, not all of them had been together. The young daughter who left behind this information hadn't been there. Apparently, the night before the bombing, she had been at a friend's house for a Halloween party, so who knows what had been running through her mind when the bombs fell. And Nathaniel, indifferent as he was, hadn't been home either. Probably just out exploring, wanted to get away from them. So even at this family's darkest hour, they had been scattered, and dawn was not going to bring them together. Number 2, we have the Warwicks. Life is supposed to be better for this family of 4, especially when it's been modified that way. But instead, it's strange and mysterious. You come here to their homestead, and there's a weird air about the place. The younger brother, Wally, he seems concerned in general. You talk to the daughter, Janie, and she asks you an odd question. Do you think that someone truly can change? Because apparently her father used to be a drunk who never did any work, hardly showed any affection, and then one day, all of that changed. At one snap, just like that, he started working long hours and would show his kids that he loved them very much. And this all seems very positive, so why should Janie still have this nagging doubt in the back of her mind? Well, maybe it's because her dad isn't really her dad. He's a synth that replaced the real Roger Warwick by the Institute. This is so they could have him testing genetically modified seeds on his farm. The trouble is, his secret is not well buried. If you join the Institute, there's a quest you'll do called Building a Better Crop, where Roger explains to you that the farm's foreman, Bill Sutton, is on to his real identity. You need to throw him off any way you can, starting with his helper, Cedric. But Roger's kids might know where he went, so you talk to Wally, and he's really spooked, genuinely. He says, I really think my dad is in trouble. And I'm being told that he's a synth? The kid doesn't know what to believe, and at this point, Janie is worrying too. She's freaking out. But he does say that Cedric went to Good Neighbor to try and find a solution to this, quote, synth problem. So, you go there, you go to the third rail, you find Cedric, you bribe him to tell you what's really going on, and he says that Bill is trying to find a mercenary who will kill Roger. Now, depending on your loyalty to the Institute, you don't want this whole operation to go belly up. In fact, Bill might just put matters into his own hands if someone doesn't come along fast enough. That's when you think, oh crap. You rush back to the homestead, you run inside, and just as you open the doors, you see it. Bill holding a gun to Roger in front of his whole family. If he shoots, he's going to scar these kids for the rest of their lives. Now this is where you jump in and you say, Bill, put the gun down. Roger isn't a synth. You're an alcoholic and you abuse chems. You're probably just whacked out right now and causing yourself to come up with these silly accusations. Of course, he is right, but you say it with so much confidence that he's like, oh my God, what if you're right? I'm sorry. He puts the gun down and he leaves, permanently. Whew, Roger thanks you, and now their family can get back to being normal again. Except, despite your best efforts, you wonder if that will ever be possible. I mean, now that the idea of being a synth was introduced to these children, they'll always be sensitive to it, especially if more symptoms show up in the future. Plus, the Institute has records discussing this whole seed operation they've been doing, and that they plan on terminating everyone involved once the experiment is over. So even if they get back to normal, is death waiting around the corner? And number 1, we have the Huskies. For them, death wasn't around the corner, it was from below, underneath the water. This was a family of 4 guys, all with the intention of building a fortress at Haddock Cove. This is a series of buildings with raised platforms where they could see any oncoming enemies from a mile away in any direction. Right? They wanted this place to be impenetrable, but it would take hard work to get there. So that's why the head of the family, Bray, made a list of chores for each of them. Luke was in charge of fishing and preparing them for meals. Rowan was in charge of building and repairing the fort. Braun was in charge of clearing out all of the brush so that no invaders could sneak up on them, and Bray was in charge of guard duty and watching over the place while the rest could work. There may be a different way of doing things, and they certainly had no trouble playing pranks on each other or calling each other knuckleheads, but their hearts were in the right place. They wanted to be self-sustaining, and they had a very good attempt. But weird things would start to happen. One day, Braun would be found in his bed whimpering. Luke said it's because he saw something looking up at him from underneath the baseboards. What, like another face? A ghost? He wouldn't say. Just knew that he was spooked. After that, more and more they would find their baseboards loose, as if something had been pushing them up. So they went to work harder to secure these things, but their work would be in vain. One day, Bray is coming back to the fort after having kept an eye on the outskirts, and the place is under attack. They had spent so long looking around them that they had no idea what to do when their enemies would come from below. Mirelurks, as it were, who had been attracted by all the dead fish and chum that Luke had been discarding after his work. Well, now they were getting torn apart. Bray could see Luke literally get pinched through his waist. Rowan was running away screaming when he got grabbed and pulled under the water. Braun was being eaten alive by a Mirelurk king. The thing then jumped for Bray and sliced him through the stomach. He was able to get a shot off before running away, but he wouldn't make it long. It's in his final moments that he recorded a holotape that you can still listen to, and he explains that he can literally see his guts spilling out of his stomach. He's trying to hide in one of the buildings, but he isn't there long before one of the bugs finds him. And as it's still recording, you can hear him get torn to pieces while he's screaming. Now, this was definitely a family effort, yes, but I'm just saying, damn it, Luke! This was all your fault. And there you have it, 5 broken families in Fallout 4. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And down below, please tell me, is there another family you would like to add to this list? Alright, thank you very much for watching. Just to be careful, I really do suggest you go up to your parents and you ask them if they're synths. Believe me, it'll save you a headache in the future.